Hi, and welcome to Admire Unlimited. We are so happy to have you on board. In today's video, we will highlight some of the differences on how you used to use Admire and how you will use Admire going forward in Admire Unlimited. Let's get started. When you join Admire, you will have two emails, one from Admire and one from Duo Security. In the Admire one, scroll to where it says app.admirepro.org. You have your username and password over here. You'll click that and log in with your temporary credentials. You will also receive an email from Duo Security containing a link to enroll. When you get that, you will click the link there, which is over here. You'll click this link and set it up. You will either need to use a smartphone or tablet, or set up a phone system so that the system can call you every time you need to sign in. Once everything is set up, you can open Admire Unlimited by clicking the link. Here's the pro tip. Save this website as a bookmark by clicking the star, and you can save it here in your bookmarks bar, so in the future, when you want to call up Admire again, you can hit the plus tab for a new tab and go to the AdmirePro link. Fill out your username and password and hit sign in. This will load up the Admire virtual computer. Over here you have two things. You have the actual Admire program and a built-in virtual hard drive, which will enable you to access files from Admire on your virtual machine. Here we have the Admire logo. Clicking that will load up the Admire software. And here we have the Explorer, which will have access to your virtual hard drive. Let's double click on the Admire icon. This will launch Admire AU, which will actually have your name, Admire, and your school's name. As you see here, the Duo Security authentication shows up. At the same time, on my tablet, you will see a notification pop up as well. Tap on it and make sure everything is correct and hit approve. When you do so, Admire will open on your computer. Now you have access to Admire as you normally have access to it, with everything in its familiar place. However, there are some things you need to know that are slightly different. For example, at the top, you have a button that says All Resources and the current screen you're on. Also over here you have a few buttons. You have an Uploads button over here, which we'll talk about soon. This will enable you to upload files to Admire's virtual hard drive. Here you have a way to unpin the navigation bar, so if you don't like to have this bar here, you can click this and it will resize the window. And if you ever need to gain access to those functions, you can click this hamburger menu here, which will reload it again, and you can always repin it back over here. You can make it full screen. The gear and the three dots are not really relevant for us, so we're going to leave them in this video. Now, as we mentioned, Admire has the program and a virtual hard drive. If you wanted to access that, you can go to All Resources, and that will bring back the previous window, which we can click on the Explorer here to load it up. It will load on top of Admire. Now, just like a regular computer hard drive, you will have access to the files that Admire uses in its virtual drive. The ones that you will primarily be using is the TS client, which is over here, and your virtual drive. This folder has two folders in it, downloads and uploads. Now, it's important to realize that these folders are temporary. So if you ever upload or download something to these folders, you need to quickly move them to a more permanent location, because if not, they will be removed and you will constantly find yourself re-uploading files to Admire. So that's something to bear in mind. We're going to close this now, and I'll show you a few case examples of where this would come in handy. Now let's talk about some of the things that are different about Admire Unlimited. Well, since Admire is running on a virtual machine and not native to your computer, you no longer have the ability to print directly from the program to your printer. Instead, you will have to download the file and then print it locally from your computer. So for example, if I wanted to run a report, so I'd go to the report wizard and I choose run report, choose the report I wanted to run. So let's say account event overview, and I chose a filter because I just don't want to have to deal with every single thing that's on my Admire. And I name my report hello, and I want to now hit print. Hitting print will not send a command to my printer to print the file. Instead, what it will do is create the file itself. And as you notice over here, it says print job has started and will download as a PDF file. And as you can see, the file has now downloaded in my downloads folder, and I can open it by clicking here, which will open up the entire PDF with all my relevant documents from this file that I just downloaded. Then I could choose to print it from my printer, no different than printing out anything from Google Chrome, or I can open it locally on my computer and print it. Another major change is that when you want to upload pictures for students, so for example, if I want to go to the student browser and run a search for all my students, and now I want to add a picture of my students over here. So in order to do so, I would need to right click over here, choose Edit Individual, go to Browse. But wait, normally I'd be able to upload a document directly from my desktop. But if I go to Desktop here, I'm not going to see any files from my actual desktop because Admire is looking for files that are in its virtual machine. And we don't have access to that as we normally would from our own desktop. So how do we get the picture that we need into Admire? So what we do is we hit the Uploads button. This will open up our uploads. It will be different on a Windows computer, but I have a Mac. I'm going to choose a picture that is a JPEG file, and I'm going to hit Open. That is now uploading to the remote desktop. Now, when I go to Browse, and I go to TS Client, and I go to the Uploads folder, I will now see my picture right here. I can click on that and open it to the editor, and it will now add that picture, even though it's not technically a picture. It happens to be this image is too large, so it won't work anyway. But if I wanted to, it would then open up and show over here. Now, in this case, you do not need to worry about moving that picture to a more permanent place on Admire. The reason being is that when you add a picture to the individual editor, Admire will make its own copy and save it in the proper location. So even after a few hours, if you go back to the Uploads folder and you no longer see that picture there, don't worry, the picture is already saved on the individual and it will be fine. But in a case where you're adding, let's say, your logo to reports, where Admire is not actually making a copy of the logo, so when you upload the logo to your imports file, to your uploads folder, you have to, within a very short amount of time, move the file to, let's say, the desktop, so that way in Admire, the file will be local and you can find it without much issue. However, if you leave it in the uploads folder, it will be deleted after a small amount of time. Another major change about Admire Unlimited is QuickBooks integration. You used to be able to run an export of QuickBooks automatically on your computer. It will open in QuickBooks and also update Admire's billing information so that everything was set up and masudar. That is no longer the case. You have to do one workaround because we have to get the report from Admire to our local computer, and we also have to notify Admire to update our billing. So let me show you how to do that. Let's go to our report wizard, run export. We need to choose the export by running the QuickBooks. So I'll use the smart search for QuickBooks. And here we go. Payment list for QuickBooks integration. Choose a filter that's proper over here. So let's do 1019 and we'll leave it at a low. And then we want to hit export. Now, in this case, because I don't actually have any new information, it's not actually going to work. It's just showing blank. But in your case, this whole screen will be filled over here with information. Now, there's two things you need to do. First thing you need to do is click over here to save export. It doesn't really look like a button, so be careful to look for it. Right over here, it says click here to save export. Here's where you're going to click, and it will download your file. You need to save the file in the TS client, remote drive, and in the downloads folder. Very important that you save it in the downloads folder. Hit open, and now name the report and hit save. Since we have saved the file in our downloads folder, the file will now download to our computer. As you see here, are you sure you want to download a file? I'm going to hit confirm, and as you can see, it has downloaded over here. Another thing you must do, and it's very crucial that you do this, is hit this button here. This export contains automatic updates. Hit the Update Now button. So when you do so, it will notify Admire's billing that this information has been entered into QuickBooks. Another major change to Admire Unlimited is how Admire interacts with credit cards. Let's open an account and take a look at how the credit cards used to be and how credit cards will be used going forward. So let's go to the Payments tab, and over here we have credit cards. And when we open the credit cards, we see over here all the different credit cards we previously had entered. So if I right click on it, you will see it says Admire. That means when I originally inputted this credit card, it was using the Admire system. Therefore, I'm able to edit the card by clicking Edit. And you see the editor open, and I can see the credit card number here, a very important number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get it. It's obviously a dummy number. And if I wanted to edit it, I click here, and then I could hit save or cancel or do whatever I wanted to do. However, that is no longer the case. If I wanted to add a new card, I would have to use either CardNox or BankQuest tokenization. Okay, now I know it says over here that I have the option to add it from Admire, but that's not so. It either has to use either CardNox or BankQuest. Those are tokenizations. Basically, we're entering the card through their portal, and all the card information would be in their system. Admire can interact with that, but you can no longer edit that information from Admire's platform. Let's choose CardNox, for example, and hit OK. And as you see here, instead of an Admire window opening, a CardNox window will open. Now I could put in the card number, okay, and the date. Let's do, and make up a number here, and the name and the card address. This is all through their system. When I click save, this information will be saved in CardNox. Lastly, it's important to realize that you no longer will be able to print late notes from Admire itself. You will have to use Adrenaline, which will be able to be configured to print a late note from attendance automatically. So if a person would come late to school and the teacher wanted to print out a late note, you have to do it through Adrenaline now, which is included for free with Admire Unlimited, to be able to print out late notes, as you no longer can do it directly from the software. Thank you for watching and welcome aboard. We're so excited to have you with us here at Admire Unlimited. We here at Admire Academy are constantly creating new video content so that you can learn how to use the software to the fullest capabilities. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.